Hey y'all, it's your girl Aaron, and I am playing some Minecraft today. I'm going to be playing the 20W14 version, which is the infinite snapshot, and I have a peaceful server on a glitch seed, and I am doing a quest. Well, I had done a quest to look for piglins to trade, but what I really need is a basalt delta. So I just want to have a look where I can find one, because I think basically I gotta go negative a bunch. Yeah, I gotta go, yeah, I should find one is if my Z coordinate goes, no, my X coordinate goes more negative. So yeah, that's gonna be the first thing I try to do right now. Seems like this is the way to go. So yeah, I want to get some blocks from the basalt delta so that I can go back and finish off the portal room, because I really need to get on with that. It's been fun to do some exploring because like I was just stuck in that room for so long, but I do need to complete it because I want to get onto additional portals and new rooms, and that's going to be a lot more fun than the nether, even though doing the nether room and the nether portal side of it has been fun. But the real reason like to play on the infinite snapshot is for the custom portals. That is the whole attraction. And I kind of wanted to just get the nether one done out of the way, because like I didn't want to like go to some like awesome new you know, dimensions and then going back and do the nether. It's like I don't know, like once I get into custom dimension mode, that's where I want to stay. Yeah, I thought it would be really cool to now hang on a second, that's a problem. Oh wait, can't you break netherrack with like, even like just break it? I don't think the shovel's much quicker than by hand. Yeah. Because, yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I was really hoping that I could get the immersive portal mod working on this version, but it looks like they don't have one. They've got one for the version before and the version after, but both those don't work. So if you are the person who made the immersive portals mod, or you know them, could you ask them if they can get it to work on the infinite snapshot? It's such a perfect marriage, and like I've been watching some videos from, I think it's Mumbo Jumbo. They've been using the immersive portal to make some really cool stuff. Like you can make a TARDIS type room where you have like a room that's like pretty small on the outside, but the entrance to the room is a portal into, like for example, the nether, and then you know, the room in the nether can be like a lot bigger, and it's like really cool. So that would be really cool if that could. I don't know if like I should like try to get it to work myself. I don't really know Java that well, but I am a programmer, so I might be able to figure it out. But yeah, that's not really something I'm going to be worrying about for now. I don't even have the portals to immerse in yet, so let's do things in reasonable order. Now I should be getting pretty close to the end of this. I'm just looking at the map on the top right there. So yeah, I might as well add, which I normally always do, that I'm listening to music that is either royalty free or copyright free, or like, you know, the artist doesn't mind people using it. Like I've asked certain artists if I can use their songs if I wasn't totally sure about it. But yeah, I have like a whole lot of songs I've found that meet those criteria. It sucks that like sometimes people will have their song marked as Creative Commons license and then you put it in your video and they copyright strike it anyway. So you go through the dispute process and you'll be like, I have a license for this video, and you give them a link to the URL, which is presumably their own site, you know, and you're like, look here, it says Creative Commons, and then they are like, well, no, we are still going to maintain the copyright claim on your video. So in the previous video, I think there might be a few places where the audio just cuts out, and that's because like I kind of like wasn't talking much anyway in those points, and I was just like, you know, I don't really want to showcase these artists if they're gonna do that to me. Like the least they can do is, you know, like not mark their work as Creative Commons, then I won't use it. Like that's up to them. But if they're gonna mark it as Creative Commons and then copyright strike you anyway, like what the hell? But the thing is, like, I don't even want to monetize my videos like at all. But it's more like the principle where like the whole point of trying to use and find music that is, you know, like free to use in videos, you know, even if it's only videos where you're not making money, which is the case with me. I am not going to monetize any of these videos. I'm not going to enable ads, I'm not going to, you know, I do hope to get donations to my Patreon, but that is to support me in all my endeavors. It's got nothing to do with any specific activity I do, but it's just supporting me as a person. So we should be getting to the basalt deltas soon, I think. I wonder if there's a way to, I think you can show biomes on here. Yeah, like that. So, goodness me, I'm not even close to a basalt delta. I need to stop using chunk base. Okay, well, in that case, I guess I'm just gonna keep going in whatever direction is easiest to traverse until I find a basalt delta. There's so many piglins here. It's like I really want to find a bastion as well. But yeah, I'm not gonna worry about trying to go to specific coordinates, I'm just gonna explore. But yeah, like I'd rather showcase artists who are going to have, you know, royalty free or copyright free licensing, because, you know, and so this channel won't be monetized, so it's not like use this music that I'm playing for anything you want to use, like no matter what. No, you still need to do your own due diligence if you can use the music for whatever it is you are thinking of. But most of the songs are just like attribution license, so as long as you give credit to the artist, they allow you to use it. And so, you know, if any artists do that to me where they like copyright claim it, even though they had previously like indicated was able to be used, then I just take them out of my rotation. So like in like a video like today where I don't have any new music, I'm just playing through music that I've used before, I'm just not going to have those artists in the playlist, and you know, sorry for them, like they lose out on that exposure. And you know, hopefully what I'm doing is something other people do as well, and we can give more exposure to the artists who are giving back than to the ones who are holding on with clenched fists and clutched pearls to their intellectual property. Yeah, I don't think intellectual property should exist. Now, that doesn't mean I don't think artists or creators should not earn money, but I think that the models that they use to make money should not be ones that are harmful to society, and I think intellectual property is an example of that. I mean, I live in South Africa, and you know, I think it was Oxford or something, Harvard, some university in the USA was trying to develop a vaccine to the latest pandemic, and they were going to make it open source, their research. And that would have meant that, you know, for example, South Africa would be able to produce generics and get vaccines out, you know, quickly. But obviously, if they do that, they don't earn money. And would you believe it, the so-called humanitarian philanthropist Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation like talked them into rather selling their rights or the intellectual property of the vaccine to AstraZeneca, and then we had to buy those vaccines at an increased cost, and we are like way down the list, you know, like people like all over the Western world are already getting their vaccines, and for us in the public it's just like, yay, there are vaccines and we've ordered them and they'll be here in like 3 to 6 months, and we've already bought enough for like 5% of the population. It's like, wow, okay. You know, with the amounts of money we spent buying those vaccines, we could have made enough vaccines ourselves for the entire population. But no, intellectual property, gotta make money off of every piece of information apparently. So no, we didn't get to make open source versions of the vaccine. Yikes. I don't want to die with such a full inventory. But yeah, so what about artists? Well, you know, you can still buy most of this music. It is on, most of the artists have some other way, whether you can find their song on like Apple Music, or they get money through plays on Spotify, or they have Bandcamp where you can buy it. And you know, so having Creative Commons music isn't like stopping them. Like if someone really wants to listen to that band and they don't have the money, do you think they're going to be like, oh well, I don't have the money, guess I'll listen to something else that I don't really feel like listening to? I don't know. I don't know if that's realistic, you know? So what are you really stopping? You're just stopping the people who have no money, you know? Like, it's this assumption that like everyone is going to be as greedy as possible, and even though they have like fat stacks in the bank, they're going to like still get it for free just because they can. Whereas like, actually, when people offer public service like that and say like pay what you want, sure, there will be some people who download it for free because they are extremely frugal or they don't have the money. But there'll also be other people who are like, wow, it's so cool that you are having a like pay what you want, that you are like giving your music to people even if they can't afford it. I want to like, I have a lot of money and I like your music, and I like your music 10 times more than what I hear on the radio or whatever, so I'm gonna spend like a whole lot of money. I feel like I'm just getting really close to the top of the nether now, so I'm just gonna flatten out and maybe curve down a bit, see where we're at. So yeah, like they might get like some people paying like 10 times or 100 times what they would have normally got, and you know, I think it probably evens out, or even if it doesn't, like I think if we are, you know, gonna, it's like they are basically, you know, giving up the opportunity to hoard over their intellectual property for, you know, the public good, and as the public we should be good back to them for that, because then they will be able to make more music, and you'll make making music under the Creative Commons more popular if artists know that by doing so they get a lot of support from the community. People share their music around, people play it on their gaming videos, like, and it's almost like so many times when people are choosing music, there's like specifically for content, there'll be like two main decision points, where one is like, what do I like the most? Like, do they want to express their personal, you know, uniqueness, their personality through their music choices? And the other might be like, what do people like listening to? And that doesn't always need to be mutually exclusive, but a lot of the times it might be where they are just trying to use like the music they know will be popular with an audience, which is arguably a good strategy if you're trying to appeal to as many people as possible in a non-unique way. But sometimes people prefer to express their self through their music choices, and even if it's not music that people know, they still, you know, want to play it because they want to show people the music. Like, obviously they like it, so they're like, well, maybe other people will like it too, and they want to support the artist. So I guess I'm probably more in the second category, which maybe is why I'm not afraid to showcase artists who aren't specifically super popular. I mean, if I find a musician on SoundCloud with like 0 followers, yeah, then I might be suspicious that it's like not the real account. But like, say they have like 100 followers or something, but the music is like really cool, so what if like it's not popular? I'll still feature it if I like it. So yeah, but the thing is, like, there's no reason why we can't make the Creative Commons artists popular. I mean, it's not as if their music is worse. I would argue it's just as good. Listen to this song. Like, have you heard, you know, TechnoX has released like probably 200 Creative Commons songs. You know, why isn't TechnoX winning music awards? Like, probably just because people don't know about them. And, you know, the more people who hear the music and realize that they like it, the more chance that artist will gain in popularity, and maybe we can through actually trying. Because, like, you know, the hardest thing about going from like listening to music that is intellectually not free, or, you know, where the intellectual property rights are held very closely and you can't use the content or anything, there's no reason why you can't go from that being the music you use to using music that is Creative Commons. But I don't know if people actually think about it. They don't, like content creators, like, sure, like some people may be like looking for, and I guess that counts to some degree to me, but looking for music that is Creative Commons because they don't have the money or don't want to pay royalties. But like the thing is, like, for me, I'm a big proponent of socialism as I understand it, which is when you have no capitalism and no government, not when you have capitalism but the government controls it. That's just another kind of capitalism to me. But like, I'm a big proponent of doing things via mutual aid, which is where although some people get confused by that because they think mutual aid means I'll give you something if you give me something and then we both benefit mutually. No, that's not mutual aid, that's mutual exchange or whatever. That's a transaction. Mutual aid is when it refers to when it is mutually beneficial to give people aid, because by giving them aid you increase the overall well-being of the community you're in. And if it is part of the mutual aid network, which is a whole group of people who offer, you know, goods or services for free, then you can get your own needs met for free as well. So it's mutually beneficial to engage in one way only free help, because the emergent property is that you end up getting your needs met. So it's not about it being mutually beneficial in the moment, it's about it being mutually beneficial in the macroscopic sense. And I guess you can argue that when you help someone it benefits you immediately because you feel good about it, but economically speaking, you know, it's more about creating an ecosystem where your needs can be met without you needing to pay for them, which means you can offer, you know, you need less money to get your needs met, so you can offer your own services or goods to people, you know, for free as well. If you were required to, like, if you could get 100% of your needs met through mutual aid, through people meeting those needs for free, right? 100% of your needs, then you would be able to basically not work for a boss, not have to have a job or anything like that. Like, you would be able to just live totally free. And a lot of people think that if people are given the opportunity to do that, they'll just sit around and do nothing, but I don't think that's really realistic. Maybe that's something that they would do, but like, everyone I know likes to actually be productive, you know? They don't like, you know, sitting around doing nothing. And sitting around doing nothing often makes people feel bad about themselves because they want to be productive. So I think if you were totally free and you didn't have to earn money because all your needs were being met without it, that you would still want to be productive, you would still want to do things, but you wouldn't need to charge anybody for those goods or services, because we still don't have a basalt data anywhere in the map. I'm gonna go that way, I think, which is like, wait, let's go to the warped forest first of all. Wow, it's probably better to bridge across this way. Oh snap. Oh, apparently that's not possible. Holding shift when you have your inventory open does not keep you on the ledge, everybody. Okay, now let's try and... Maybe it's worth trying to get that stuff back. It's an awful lot of stuff to not get anything. I was trying so hard not to die. Anyway, moving on. I'm not spotting wood anywhere. Which I need to make tools, and I can't really go into the nether again without tools. So let me go back to the surface, get some... Well, that may change what happens in this video because that's an immense amount of time lost. Like an entire episode's worth of time lost, but anyway, these things happen. But yeah, as I was saying, if you didn't have to make money, you didn't, you know, you would still want to be productive, but you wouldn't need to charge for your goods or services because what would it help you? Like, you already have all your needs met. Having money doesn't help you because there's, you know, I know this is hypothetical, but bear with me. So yeah, so like, then why wouldn't you offer your own goods and services free? A, you'd get to feel good about yourself, and B, you wouldn't have needed to make money off of it anyway. Okay, so like, in that way you can see how capitalism reinforces itself, but what I described as what I would call socialism also reinforces itself in that once you are getting your needs met through a socialist and, you know, everything for free, no government or capitalism, people just helping each other out, because the world that you end up with when you do that is a lot more fulfilling and beneficial to everyone involved. And so let's see, I should probably make tools before I go in. Go like that. 1, 2, 3. Get an axe and a spade. Whoa, come back, spade. And then I'll put wood in there. Take a couple logs off and see if I can find my dead body. Well, let's go down steps because I'm not going to get anywhere at the top of the world. Now, maybe I can maintain this height for a while. Yeah. So, it's like capitalism is like, you need money to meet your needs. So, when you are being productive, you try to get money from that productivity because that's going to help you to meet your needs. And so then other people who might need to get their own needs met, and you might be able to meet those needs, well, they're not going to be able to get their needs met unless They pay you because you are charging, because if you don't charge, then how do you meet your needs, blah blah blah. Whereas if you weren't needing to make money, you were just having like everyone, whatever you needed, just like went to whoever could offer it and they gave it to you for free, well then you would be able to offer your goods and services free. So someone else who needed something you could offer, they would be able to use your goods and services, and then they wouldn't need to, in turn they would get their needs met that way. They wouldn't need to charge, so that way nobody needs to charge for anything. And it would still operate in a decentralized supply and demand fashion, but supply and demand would be determined by how much people actually need something and how much people can actually make of it, rather than adding an extra layer of complexity. Whereas if you have a lot of money, then you raise the price and you can jump the queue. Now if you do have a limit on the resources, then how capitalism would solve that is by raising the prices, so that the people who just so happen to have the most money, they're the ones who end up being able to have those particular needs met, and everyone else doesn't. And that's how it handles scarcity. But there are a lot better ways of handling scarcity. For example, literally making it random is better. Having a lottery, and so there's maybe they only make 100 electric Lamborghinis a year, and everyone wants to drive one. So 1 billion people are asking for one. There's only 100 a year, so every year, they do a lottery of 100 like lottery giveaways, and if you are randomly, Okay, well, in any way, I was exploring, looking for basalt deltas. I felt like I was so much further than this away, you know? Okay, well, we got some ender eyes, which is kind of the most important thing. I don't know if I need everything here. Let's ditch some of these. What else can we ditch? Some dirt. That is a lot of obsidian. Okay, well, I got pretty much all my ender pearls, so yeah, happy about that. Okay, I need to go this direction, like away. Wait, how do I tell? Oh wait, I know what I'm gonna do. I could like look at some kind of directions, but let's see. So if I draw an arrow on the floor, walk away from it a bit, and then I go here, and I look which way that arrow is pointing, except I don't see it. Maybe it's not big enough. Like if this had like a... I think the arrow is pointing that way, right? That must be the arrow. What if it's like, if I make it 2 blocks wide? Is that gonna help? Yeah, that does help. Okay, cool. So, that is the right direction. I don't know why I don't just use the compass coordinates or whatever. I guess south on the map is down. So as long as I go south... Yeah, that's like the obvious answer. Oh well. Now I've realized it. Totally listen to my economic ideas because I'm so big-brained. I know which way directions are. So... yeah. What is that? What? Okay, so now let's try this. So, east. Alright. Let's see what that is. Looks kind of structural. Oh, maybe it's a ruined portal. Or it's just the way the land is? Okay. On with the south plan. So yeah, I think like a lot of people, they get like wowed by the innovation of things like blockchain and don't stop to think of should we, you know. They focus so hard on the fact that we could that they never stop to ask themselves if we should. Science has gone too far. You know, I heard statistics recently that Bitcoin uses 0.6% of the world's total energy consumption. Now, all of the world's data centers, which some of those include crypto data mining centers, but all of the world's data centers only use 1% of the world's total electricity consumption. So think of like the internet, you know, all the data centers that hold every like online business, Google, Apple, Amazon, the entire internet uses, you know, less than double, you know, or Bitcoin is more than half of that. In other words, two like Bitcoin networks of the size they are today would be equivalent to the entire internet when it comes to electricity consumption. Why are we doing this? Every single argument people come up with just ends up sounding like, because free market good, you know? Like, but free market is not good. Why are we doing this? You know? I would be happy for governments to ban crypto. Let's try and save the planet, y'all. We have a literal climate apocalypse undergoing right now. And the capitalists are just trying to use like half of the internet worth of electricity on speculative cryptographic hash finding that is worth absolutely no value. You get rewarded for finding the right hash, and then that hash means nothing to anybody ever again. It is a complete waste. Now, interestingly enough, I was suggesting that why don't you tie like crypto computation to something like protein folding, and interestingly somebody mentioned to me that people are already trying to do that, and it is called Curecoin, and I think that is great. I still don't think crypto is great. I still don't think it is really helpful to the world. I don't know how, you know, being free from government control helps us when we're talking about money. You know, like, don't we want the government to regulate capitalism? I thought that's what people who are supposed to be leftists wanted. Now they're being enticed by fancy algorithms to become ANCAPs. It's quite embarrassing. So yeah, like, the thing is, like, there is benefit in a distributed ledger, but the entire blockchain and crypto like problem space is being dominated by people assuming capitalist modes of interacting, assuming transaction, assuming property rights. And if that's really what you want to innovate on, and if you really want that to be freed from government regulation, and you really want to make transactions and stuff like that better, then okay, you're entitled to have your own opinion. You are also a capitalist. You're also not a socialist at all, because you want capitalism. You know? Instead of spending any energy at all on crypto, we could be spending our energy on, you know, a platform for mutual aid. And, you know, capitalism is going to innovate itself anyway. It's constantly going to innovate. And the innovations capitalism does tend to tie us closer and closer to the concepts of competition and exchange and transaction, and that nothing should be done for free. Like, you look at the whole NFT thing, right? It is like the opposite of open source, because open source is like, I made this thing and this thing is awesome and I want people to be able to experience it and share it, so I am going to make it open source and it will be in the public's and society's benefit. We all gain, you know. Every time something is released open source, it adds that value to everybody. Everybody benefits from it. And NFT is like, no, let's do the opposite of that. Let's find new ways to monetize content that potentially used to be free. Like, somebody sold Nyan Cat, didn't they, for like a whole bunch of money. Like, okay, we were all sharing that for free and it was benefiting society that it existed. Now that it's been turned into an NFT and someone owns it, what's to stop them from enforcing some kind of copyright or intellectual property, like, you know, and stop people from sharing it or whatever? Like, it's not benefiting society to be doing this. And yeah, I do want artists to make more money and stuff. That's why I'm showcasing the artists who are giving back to the community. I'm hoping that more people will hear them and find their band page or whatever and buy their music, and you know, that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm not having a silent background like most Minecrafters, or you know, licensing music, which I can't afford to do anyway. Apparently, like, you're not allowed to have it salt delta in the seed. Seriously? Okay, well, let's continue going east and see if it pops up. So yeah, like, the thing is, like, you can already transfer ownership rights without an NFT or digital signature or whatever. Like, there's no reason to do it via crypto or blockchain or NFT. The only reason to do it that way is because it's this new buzzword that will, you know, because of the hype, and people like potentially think that the value will go up, so they want to buy it now and then sell it later to make a profit, and it's like probably not gonna go up, so maybe that's not the best decision they are making. But yeah, like, you know, so people who are selling NFTs, like, I'm not against playing the game, you know. If somebody has got enough money to buy an NFT and, you know, so what if the artist does it, like, but that doesn't mean that it's like a good idea, you know. You can make money off of bad ideas, but that shouldn't stop people from understanding the nature of the idea. That shouldn't, just because you want to make money off it doesn't mean we need to pretend it's a good idea. Just because artists can make money off NFTs doesn't mean NFTs are a good idea. So yeah, I think most NFTs, and the thing is, like, it doesn't, to me, the fact that it might lose value is not my biggest concern, because I'm not personally buying them. I'm not personally going to be losing money, you know. My concern is that if people go along, if people get fooled by the hype and they think that, you know, this is the way of the future and all this kind of thing, that is making the world worse, because we're investing in a destructive technology, just like we did when the world adopted fossil fuels, you know. And we had the opportunity, for example, to use like electric cars back in the day, but the fossil fuel industry like wanted to maintain relevance. So, you know, like, you got to be able to call a bad technology out when you see it. And this particular type of hype has got a whole lot of people claiming to be interested, but the thing is, the problem is you can't really tell, you know, like, are people saying like crypto is the next big thing or value will go up? Are they saying that because they genuinely believe it, or because they know that if it gets more popular then they'll make more money and they plan on pump and dump. They plan on dumping when they hit peak hype or peak media or whatever term they want to use. Like, they are waiting for the bubble to burst. They want to be the one to pop the bubble. They want to be able to sell at its highest point, knowing that it is going to peak and go down and end up nothing. Like, how many people investing in crypto actually know that that's the future of crypto, but they're going along for the ride, versus how many people genuinely believe it's going to retain value and are going to end up losing a lot of money because they won't sell at the peak because they'll think it's not going to burst. So how do you trust people advocating for crypto? Because how do you know if they genuinely believe it's a good idea, or if they're just saying it is because convincing the world that it is makes them more money? Now you see how crypto is like incentivizing anti-social behavior, For what? For half the internet's worth of electricity, so some rich people can pump and dump? It's a freaking scam. You can have distributed ledgers without crypto, and the thing is, people are so focused on catering for environments where there's untrusted actors, when they should be focusing on building platforms that can regulate out untrusted actors. You don't need to be a total stranger when making some kind of purchase. Like, you don't need to, it's totally fine for people to know your history. Have you been faithful and paid like what you owed people before, for example? Like, why shouldn't people know that? And so you can have that information available without blockchain, without crypto, without moving money and assets out of government regulation, You can, and distributed ledgers aren't all bad. Like I mentioned before in the previous video, that you could have like a resource library where you're keeping track of valuable things that there aren't enough of for everybody, and people are not exchanging, but handing it over to each other when their allotted time is up or when they're done using it. So you can keep track of that in a distributed ledger, but it doesn't need to be based on how to handle there not being trust, because you can just create a network where the people in the network are trusted, where people aren't complete strangers, but if they have acted in harmful ways, that harmful behavior gets communicated to people and people can make their mind up, then it's not like, I'm totally legit, just trust me. It's no, you can see whether I'm legit or not, and it's your choice whether you want to trust me or not. And if somebody is, for example, harming the network, if somebody is, trying to hack or attack the ledger and put like false entries into it, or entries that benefit them at the expense of others or whatever, then you remove their access to the ledger. They can't read or write it anymore. Now, that just craps on the free market people's plans, because they want to be able to move their money around, and make speculative investments without other people knowing about it, and but it's like catering to them. It's like progress for Wall Street more than for anything else. And people have said that you can use blockchain and crypto for organizing people decentrally or whatever, but it's like, okay, yes, but you are wasting a ton of computational power by doing so, when all you need is to be like if you're organizing between people, right? Shouldn't you be organizing with people you feel like you can unite with, and not like people who you think are going to stab you in the back? So just tie it to that. If you trust someone, they get access to the network, and if you don't trust them, they don't. And you have ways to like revert harmful actions that, you know, so if someone gets kicked off the network, you can erase the actions they've done that were harmful. And then you have ways of self-moderation, where if someone does something harmful, people can report it, and the entire network gets visibility that there's a problem there. And you know, so I've got my own model of how to build such a network, but I can't talk about everything in one video. I might talk about that in another video. But the point is, like, you know, people don't need to be thinking along the paradigm they are thinking along. You could organize decentrally without blockchain or crypto. You don't need it. You know, what you need is a platform that allows you to do that kind of self-moderation, to raise problems, and for the network to have some way of agreeing in consensus to remove that person from the network, but based on, like, you know, social factors, like literally each person in the network. Well, so my plan is that you would vouch for people, and then if you vouched for someone and they did something bad, then you would be implicated, and if there was no restorative justice that the person was willing to go through, they just were like, no, I'm just going to continue doing this thing that people are saying is harmful, then you'd report the person that vouched for them for inviting bad actors onto the network, and the people that vouched for them start to get implicated, and you can follow that chain all the way up to the top if you need to once it, you know, it got to the top, you know, you would if you removed somebody near the top and the persons that they were inviting were no longer invited because the person that invited them got removed, then they automatically get removed too. So like, you can get a self-regulating system very easily. You can do peer-to-peer communication, like all these things are possible. So the idea that, you know, it is solving some problem that might help leftists is kind of like, you know, a bait and switch. It's like, help the capitalists because you can use the capitalist technology for good, rather than spending your time trying to build or, you know, develop the kind of software that would actually solve your problem. And it's like, yeah, and so like there's also talk about things like proof of stake and like Ethereum 2.0 having solved like proof of stake so that it takes like way less computational power. It's like, okay, maybe if they get it right, maybe it won't be like, you know, because it's, you know, not gonna, I don't know how they figured it out, by the way. Like, people are saying they have, I'm not convinced it's secure, but let's say hypothetically that it is, like, okay, and then the computational costs for Bitcoin isn't the only reason I think it's a bad idea. You know, like, if you get rid of that, it's still a bad idea because it's still unnecessary. It's still catering for something that you should only care about if you are interested in a free market. Why can't we just improve, you know, non-crypto platforms? That is so much lava. Holy crap. That's such an interesting feature. What the heck is that? Probably just some kind of weird tree. What the heck is that? What the heck is that? I don't know. I don't even know where I am or where my spawn is. I'm just trying to find a basalt delta, which apparently doesn't exist on this seed. Okay, well, we might be able to get across the lava. Okay, wait. Maybe I should go up. And it's like, if you can find a use for crypto, then I'm not trying to stop you from using it. I just think it is unnecessary, and if Ethereum 2.0 solves all the problems, like, okay, like, then let's use smart contracts to make sure that there's still regulation by the government, you know, and then it's not going to be the scam that I'm saying it is. Like, I'm not saying, like, you know, there's no way of ever having crypto without it being a scam. That's literally why I was saying it should be tied to computing useful information, because that would be a way to make it less scammy. I'm not saying it can never be non-scammy, but at the same time, it's not inherently a good idea either, and you can do anything with it much easier. The only time it benefits you is in so-called trustless systems, which are systems that could be improved without it, you know? So it's like, it's almost like capitalists want to get things done their way. It's like, if we can't move our money around tax-free, we'll find a way to do it. Whereas the government's like, maybe we should be doing things that actually help, you know, poor people and stuff. And then they're like, no, we screw the poor people. And then ironically, you know, you get a lot of people saying like, no, you know, a lot of people are making money with crypto. Like, how can you say it hurts poor people? And like, first of all, if you're investing in crypto, chances are you are not poor. Because if you're poor, like, wouldn't you be spending that money on things you need? But let's say somehow you manage to save and invest in it. Like, okay, good. Like, I'm glad you're making money. That doesn't mean it's not a scam, you know? Like, entire industries are scams, like insurance and like marketing, like advertising, like it's all built on scams upon scams. Like, and people often use complex technologies or complex concepts to sell something that, if you understood it simply, wouldn't actually be that appealing. Like NFTs. You're like, it's digitally signed and you're getting ownership rights. It's like, oh, cool. Okay, well, I don't really have extra money to, but somehow, like, you know, it's like, it's just hype. So yeah, I don't think it adds value. Like, let's say, for example, like, all the governments banned crypto. Like, that would make the world better. First of all, we're not wasting electricity on computing nonsense. We're not wasting developers, like, time. They could be making stuff that's useful to society, but instead they're wasting it on trying to invent money 2.0. When, you know, the real problems in society is that, you know, not going to be solved by a money 2.0. But like, if people are making money off of crypto, like, I'm not saying that's bad, but it's like, if you get into a pyramid scheme early enough, you can make money from it. That doesn't mean it's not a pyramid scheme, just because you happen to be in, you know, not everything has to be about like today, you know. Something can have a collapse going in the future, and if nobody's talking about the fact that it's going to collapse in the future, and they are saying that it's going to be a store of value, then maybe pointing out that they're wrong is a good thing. Even if in the short term you can make money off of it. So Roblox, yeah. I've been playing for like over an hour and I have not found a basalt outside. This is tragic. I ran out of pickaxes many moons ago. So yeah, I think people, it's like Bitcoin is like a distraction from doing things that are actually helpful to society. Like instead of like, it's like it's just catering to like the capitalist class, because it's like they ultimately the ones pushing for this, because they don't want to be taxed. They don't want if the government passes like a policy that, you know, bails out the working class, like raises minimum wage or whatever, you know, the capitalists don't like that because there's less profits for them. If you do a stimulus check, the capitalists don't like that because if there's more money in the economy, then each individual dollar is worth slightly less, which means that over, you know, X number of years, that slight difference in money compounded over their billions invested is like maybe like, I don't know, 1 or 2% or whatever it is, less than they thought they would get. Like they're still going to be making profit, but it's like 1 or 2% less than they thought. And that is a reason to try and get away from the government being able to, as they say, print money, which is like, so the government should just, what the hell, buddy? Yeah, so like, let's just stop the government from ever being able to help people, because, you know, it's like, as soon as they try to help people, we're gonna say like, oh, but inflation. It's like, no, how about you have like, how about people have to, like, okay, so this is something people have actually said that you should use blockchain for, and to be honest, like, if it was like an Ethereum 2 style blockchain, even though I still don't think it's, you know, the way we should be going, it's better than what we have now, because it's like, you should have accountability, you know, like, so if the government is like backing a crypto, or the crypto is doing computation that is actually useful to society, or it's being used to, you know, keep people transparent along a distribution chain, so you can see where the margins are and be like, company A made 2% margin on the raw materials, company B made 3% margin on the refining, company C made 5% margin on wholesale, company D made 10% margin on retail. Like, whatever it is, you have to report like what you pay for everything. And like, this is literally like me at like age 17. Like, I was like, what if we did that? Wouldn't that make the world better? Like, it's not really difficult to come to that conclusion, that if you had accountability, it would make things better, and it doesn't need blockchain for that to happen. It could just be a government policy. You have to report every transaction publicly, open source or whatever, and then, you know, people could build platforms that look at the margins, and if anybody is ripping people off, you'd know, and you can call them out on it, or look at for a competitor who isn't doing that, or whatever it is. Like, so it's not like blockchain could never be useful ever. It's that even in the best case scenario, it's solving a problem that you didn't need blockchain to solve. And ultimately, like, many people, they like kind of distrust the government, so they feel like they need some way of having, you know, a ledger that, you know, the government can't touch or whatever. Maybe I should go back there. But the thing is, like, a cryptocurrency is more likely to like have a bubble and burst and go to zero value then your government is of failing. And you know, you have a way, you have, through organizing, you know, you have a way to influence the government, whereas if it's up to corporations and rich people, you know, those who can afford to manipulate the network because they have the most miners or the most ownership, like, or able to process the most, like, pretty much any way you can think of to make a distributed ledger safer can be manipulated by people if they just have enough money to throw it. And so you are just creating a system where the government is not going to have power over it, but the rich people are. So, you know, like back in the day when only like rich white males made decisions and could vote, it's like trying to take us back to that era where, you know, if you organize workers to rise up against the government, they're going to be like, sorry, we can't give you a stimulus bill because everyone's using crypto now and we can't just create crypto coins out of nowhere the way we can print money at the Fed or whatever, so you're just gonna have to suck it up and die. Like, do we want that world? Like, I don't. You know, I know who does. The capitalists, the people who care more about the investment. It's like, we have a society that is literally built around keeping capitalists happy. It's literally built around trying to make them feel safe in making investments. It's not built around helping the people who actually need help. It's built around helping the people who already don't need help to get even richer. And lots of people will say, if you get the government to do, you know, things for the workers and for the poor and stuff and marginalized people, that's socialism. Like, are you kidding me? You have not even begun to realize what socialism is. Because, like, all that is, well, it's called social democracy, to be honest. But, you know, it's just trying to do capitalism in a less, like, way to less catering to the rich way. It's just trying to do capitalism in a more, like, balanced way, you know, which is better than it being imbalanced, but it's nowhere near socialism. Socialism is that thing I described where, like, everyone does things out of mutual aid. They do things for free, as Malatesta called it, the free, like a, was it collective or a union of free producers producing freely or whatever. It's like, well, the free collective of free producers, I don't know, something like that. But it's like, you freely choose to cooperate with each other, to freely give each other the things that you need, that you can, to meet each other's needs, so that, you know, when all your needs are being met, then you can continue to offer your own goods and services free. Like, that is socialism, and it doesn't have a government, but it doesn't need regulation because you've removed competition and profit. You've made it that if you're not personally interested in meeting someone's needs, there isn't a reason for you to do so. But we don't need to give people a reason to do so. People already want to meet needs. If your neighbor's in need of something, generally speaking, you'd help. Like, that's more likely. Maybe because, you know, our sort of popular discourse is revolved around what the capitalists and the rich think, not what's necessarily true, that, you know, people think that, but doesn't mean it's true. Goodness me. Alright, still trying to go east. I never thought finding a basalt delta would be this hard. I really did not. Okay, well, it looks like I have gone into load shedding here, which is why all the lights have gone off. So what I'm gonna do, I think, is just to end this video off, and I will have to continue this quest at a future date. The lights off. Yeah, live in South Africa, we have load shedding sometimes, the electricity goes off. Anyway, hopefully my random ranting was interesting, and I'll see you all around. Bye!